Your neighbor's house is on fire. You do the right thing. You run over. You join the bucket line. You haul water with everyone else, smoke in your eyes, and somewhere in the chaos you end up inside, dragging furniture away from the flames. And there, on the floor, in the smoke, where nobody can see you, a silver ring. You pick it up. You put it in your pocket. Who would ever know? Babylonian law would like a word. Because Babylonian law has thought about this exact moment nearly 4,000 years ago, and it wrote down a very specific plan for you. No fine, no trial date, straight to Law 25 of Hammurabi's code. Whoever comes to fight the fire and steals from the burning house shall be thrown into that very same fire. The same fire, not any fire, that one. The crime scene is the execution site, and the sentence is already burning while you commit the crime. Welcome to one of the strangest corners of the most famous law code in history. Because here's the thing, Babylon was not shy about the death penalty. Hammurabi's code runs 282 laws, and death is all over it. But almost all of those laws just say, put to death, and leave the method to the imagination. Only a handful specify how, and exactly 3 of them, 3 laws out of 282, specify fire. This video is about those 3 laws. What they were, what they share, and the genuinely weird scholarly mystery hiding inside the strangest one. First, the menu. To see why fire is special, you need to see the ordinary options. Babylon's standard execution methods read like a tour of the city. Break a hole through someone's wall to rob them? You're put to death at the hole, and buried in it. The breach you made becomes your grave. Caught in adultery, you and your partner are tied together and thrown in the river. A wife and her lover who murder the husband, impaled. A tavern keeper who overcharges for beer, the river again. Even the false accuser, point the finger at someone for a capital crime and fail to prove it, dies the death he tried to arrange for his victim. And for the crimes nobody witnessed, Babylon had its strangest institution of all, the river ordeal. Accused of sorcery with no proof either way, you jump in the river, and the river itself delivers the verdict. Sink, and you are guilty. The god of the river has taken you, and your accuser gets your house. Survive, and you're innocent. And now your accuser dies instead, and you get his house. The court of last resort was a body of water, and it paid out property either way. Keep that one in mind because it tells you something important. In Babylon, the method of death was never just a method. It carried meaning. Notice the pattern already forming. Babylonian punishment loves symmetry. The wall breaker dies in the wall. The false accuser inherits the false accusation. The code's most famous line is an eye for an eye, and the executions follow the same grammar. The punishment is the crime, reflected back. But then there's fire. Reserved apparently for 3 situations only. Here they are in ascending order of strangeness. Number 1, you already know. Looting at a house fire. The symmetry logic at its purest. You used the fire as cover. The fire gets you. Of all the code's death sentences, this is the only one where the instrument of execution is already lit before the crime happens. Number 2, the family taboo you'd expect. A man and his mother after the father's death, both burned. 1 clinical sentence in the code, and we'll match it. That's Law 157, it exists, and we're moving on. Except for 1 detail worth pausing on because it's genuinely revealing. The same code punishes a father who commits incest with his daughter with exile, banishment. He walks out of the city and keeps his life. Mother-son gets fire, father-daughter gets a walk. Whatever logic the code is running, it is not treating the family as one thing. It's protecting a structure, and the structure has a direction. And number 3, the strange one. The one this episode exists for. If a priestess, a sister of a god, one of Babylon's holy women, opens a tavern door, or even enters a tavern for a drink, she shall be burned to death. Listen to that again. This is not a priestess abandoning her god, or committing some spectacular sacrilege. This is a priestess who walks into a bar. The setup of half the jokes you know, and in Babylon, the punchline was the worst death on the books. Murder could get you the river. Robbery, the standard death. But beer, in the wrong doorway, wearing the wrong robes. Fire. Specified in writing on a stone stele erected in public for everyone to read. So the obvious question, what on earth is going on? Start with what the 3 fire laws have in common, because on the surface it's not much. A looter, a mother and son, and a priestess with a drink. One is theft, one is taboo, one is a beverage choice. Here's the reading many scholars land on. All 3 are crimes of pollution. Not crimes of harm, exactly. Crimes of contamination. The looter defiles a household at its most helpless moment while it burns. The incest case defiles the family at its core. The priestess defiles her office, a body promised to a god, standing in the one building most associated with drink, noise, and everything a temple isn't. In this reading, fire isn't cruelty. Fire is cleaning. You burn what can't be washed. It's a tidy theory. The code never says it. 282 laws and not one sentence of explanation anywhere. Hammurabi tells you the price of everything and the reason for nothing, and that silence opens the door to a very different theory about the priestess. Now, the suspicious part. These weren't ordinary holy women. The Need-to priestesses were some of the richest, most economically active people in Babylon. Cloistered, unmarried, childless, and because of that, they held property their whole lives. They bought fields. They ran rental houses. Above all, they lent money. Records survive of Need-to women operating as serious commercial lenders, with contracts and interest and witnesses. Some of the biggest private archives we have from this period are theirs. Stacks of contract tablets with a priestess's name on the lender's line. A woman legally barred from marriage, quietly running what amounts to a small bank from inside a temple compound, her loans witnessed, sealed, and enforceable in court. Whatever you pictured when you heard the word priestess, adjust it. Think less incense, more interest rates. And who else lent money in a Babylonian city? The tavern keeper. Taverns weren't just bars. They were neighborhood credit desks run mostly by women, extending beer and barley on loan to ordinary people. So the historian Martha Roth looked at Law 110 and proposed something that sounds almost too modern. Maybe this was never about a priestess's purity. Maybe it's a market regulation. Keep the temple's money out of the tavern's lending business. Draw a line between two financial institutions run by women, and put the death penalty on the line. The weirdest law in Babylon might be financial regulation with a flamethrower. Might. Other scholars read it as chastity protection, or as guarding ritual purity in a disreputable space, and the honest answer is that nobody knows because the code refuses to explain itself. But sit with the fact that the two serious candidate explanations for the same sentence are she profaned her god, and she competed with a licensed lender. That's how far away this world is, and how close. By the way, no record survives of any of these sentences being carried out. That's one line, and it's all the caveat you need. The stele was a billboard, not a court log, and a billboard doesn't need to be enforced to work. Everyone who passed it knew where the brightest lines were drawn, which leaves the real ending somewhere else entirely, with the third law still unexplained. The looter, you can understand. The taboo, you can understand. But 4,000 years of scholarship has not settled why a priestess and a beer earned the worst death Babylon could write down, whether she was offending heaven, or undercutting a lending market, or something we haven't thought of yet. Hammurabi carved the price of everything and the reason for nothing. Every law on that stele felt obvious to the people who read it. This one made perfect sense to them. We're still guessing.